What up, YouTube? It's your boy QD's Double D's number song. Man, I'm just getting up. It's like 10 o'clock. Making my coffee. I ain't doing nothing today, y'all. I'm literally, I was trying to find a load for the day, but I couldn't really find anything. So I'm trying not to spill my coffee, y'all. Couldn't find anything, so I just said to hell with it, because my load, I got a load that picks up in the morning, about 5 in the morning, going into Kentucky. So that's kind of what I'm using here to do this morning. I don't know what the hell that just meant, or how I said that, or why I even sound like that, but in my brain it didn't sound right when I just said it. So give me a pass on that, because I am making my coffee. And speaking of coffee, I'm gonna show y'all something. This right here, this is, let me go back a little bit, a French press. So what you do is you put your coffee grinds or whatever in here, and then you literally let it sit. You put your hot water in, and you push this joker down, and it's like boom, and it kind of like, it has a strainer in here, right? And I got one of these in the truck too, right? So I got one on my bus, and I got one on my truck. So I'm actually shooting this video on my bus if you guys don't notice. But yeah, you push this thing in here, and then once you let it sit for a couple minutes, you just push that joint down, and it gives you a nice strained coffee. Where's my cup at? We're gonna use the bus cup. Look at that. Just found it. Gotta rinse that joke out. But anyway, we push this joker down here like this. It just goes down, and it basically strains everything, and it gives you a nice, when I tell you a nice what you call it, a nice concentrate coffee. That's all you need.
Later.
All right, y'all. So I had to cut that video. I'm just gonna make that a whole separate video in itself, because I did not want you guys, I wasn't planning on you guys watching me do the gardening. So if you guys want to see the gardening, there'll just be a separate video of that. But that's what I do to spend my spare time with. Outside of that, how do we keep our costs down? Like I said, for a lot of you guys that have been in the business long enough, been in the trucking long enough to know, you guys probably got that already figured out, right? But for my newbies, you got to come into it the right way, number one. And in part of keeping your costs down is knowing what you actually need to run, right? Because we don't want to just be throwing, as my boy Hood Chef say, money away. That's that money. We don't want to be just throwing away money. So if you're able to consolidate things, it's going to help you a long way. So what do I mean? What do we need to consolidate? Well, for starters, things that you may realize that you need that you can kind of downsize are, I used to have a load board membership for DAT when I first started, and my DAT membership was like about $60 to $80 a month for all these features for a whole lot of different things, right? And it was like, I don't need all this stuff, right? I just need to be able to book my loads. So I was able to downgrade that membership to $40 a month. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say start looking at what you have and see what you can cut and what you can, downgrade. And even with your personal, there might be things that you can, cut to help alleviate a lot of your costs, because it's a lot of little things that begin to add up to big things that starts chopping into your bottom line, right? And you got to know what is your living arrangements. Everybody living arrangements going to be different. As you know, our living arrangements has changed, and since my when my son passed away, we moved out of the house, and we have been living in our bus ever since. And we are happy as clams. We ain't paying nobody no rent, and it's really been a game changer for us, just because we get to spend more time together. And it's just, again, we're being able to save more of our money, because we just don't even have that house expense anymore. So that's my house right there, man. That's it. I keep it 100 with y'all. My cost is really low. And also, when you're getting into this and you're looking for equipment and things like that, don't go buying the prettiest truck you can find. You need something that's going to work. You need something that's going to have AC and heat, that you're going to be comfortable in. Ain't got no bent axles, no bad DEF problems. Something that's going to make you money. A lot of people getting out here and they buying equipment, not doing their due diligence on. And again, this goes back to putting you down and having, those downtime and that maintenance time that you're not expecting to have, right? And as a matter of fact, Smooth Operator, one of my subscribers, also got a YouTube channel. Check him out, fellow trucker. Shout outs to you, military man. And check him out. But he had mentioned on my video that was one of the things he said, and when we were talking about the rates and whatnot on the last video that I did, and that was one of the things that he said he's usually able to keep his costs per mile as low as $1.48 and above, and still be profitable. That's phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? And I know that can be done, because I've done it. Sorry guys, I'm trying to walk and hold this camera, but I've done it, and I know that it can be done. So those are things you got to do to keep your costs down. And sometimes, if you're trying to be in this for any length of time, long term, if you're seriously taking trucking seriously and planning to make that your long-term goal and career, guys, you're going to have to make some sacrifices and decide on what you want, because some people can't make them sacrifices. And what do I mean by that? If your goal long-term is to make this a successful business, and you're living in a house that's beyond your means, or you're living in an apartment or whatever that's beyond your means, you might have to downsize. I mean, if you're giving $2,000 a month to an apartment, and you could theoretically find you an apartment for $1,000 a month, or $1,100 a month, you might have to do that for a while, because that's a potentially another $1,000 to $1,200 a month in your business, right? We're talking long term here. Again, everybody's situations is going to be different. If you're going out and you're going to buy a car, buy something that you can pay off, or buy something that's not going to break the bank. Extra, $300, $400 a month. If you're making that kind of money in this market, that you can afford to have that, have at it. But if you can go cash, buy it. Right now you're on the road, you're trying to, make your business work. Everything that I have, and I told you guys, and I did this in a video before, all my vehicles, everything is paid off. I'm not, I ain't trying to win no races. I ain't trying to showboat nothing, but stuff that I've had is paid off, and I've had it for a while. As a matter of fact, I've had that truck about 9 years. It's a diesel, paid off. Bus, paid off. Volkswagen, paid off. My bike, paid off. And I got another car that's not here, my Chevy. You guys seen that on one of my other videos. My boat, paid off, right? And my Scion over there, I usually pull that behind the bus, paid off, right? So that's how you got to get yourself out that mindset of, you know, the luxury items. Don't be a slave to the luxury. That stuff will come. You know, once you get your money right, get your credit right, that stuff will come, because what you're going to be dependent on when you get out here is your bread, aka your money, and you're going to be dependent on that credit, man. As a matter of fact, man, I got a buddy, you guys might know, Lean Trucker, man. Me and him had a great talk. Did not know that he was going through some things here beginning of the year, as well as me. And one of the things he said is that credit was all he had to rely on that got him out of a bad situation. I ain't gonna go putting it all out there, but you don't know what's coming. And maybe I'll get him back on the channel. You guys seen him on the channel many a times. Maybe I'll get him back on and he'll share some of that with you guys. But it's important and imperable that you cut your costs down in this market. I mean, simple things. You might get your oil changed. I know guys getting their oil changed every 15,000 miles, you know, some guys 10,000 miles. You know what I mean? If you can stand it and your nerves won't bother you, depending on your truck now, I will say that. Like my DD15 Detroit diesel say we can go all the way up to 75,000 miles before we change it. I don't usually change mine until about 50,000, you know, in that area. But if you're going every 15, bump it up to, you know, every 20, 25, you know, give yourself a little bit more time to make the money, or so that you can distinctively plan it when that oil change is coming. So now you know this money's coming out. Now you're already planning ahead of that when you're running your load, so that you will have ample time to fund that, if you will. I like that. Fund that, if you will. But those are things that I do when I'm looking at how I'm going to cut costs. Also, with that fuel, do the time to, you know, plan your fuel out, whatnot. That's going to be a big factor, because that's always the number one cost in trucking, is that fuel, you know, and then your insurance, and then so forth and so forth and so forth and so forth. So everything else trickles behind that fuel. So we're about 10 minutes in on this. I ain't gonna hold you guys too much longer. I just want to throw that out there real quick. Cut those costs. Look at your living expenses. Look at how you're living. Look at the things you have. You know, if you got 4 cell phones and you only need 1 or 2, get rid of the other 2. You know what I'm saying? Just little simple things like that. If you're eating out on the road every day, start bringing stuff. You know, it's better to buy a fridge if you don't even have a fridge in your truck, to buy a fridge and save money on the long end than buying out every week. You know, some of these guys out here eating on the road, spending hundreds of dollars a week on the road, you know. And then if you got to eat on the road, be a little bit more mindful about what you're eating and how you're eating it, because that's also going to play a part in your revenue. So I can go on and on about this. I just kind of wanted to throw this out here and whatnot and give you guys something. So I actually think I'm going to go out, take a ride on the bike. It's kind of nice out. Got some time to kill. So I'm going to get out of here. And it's your boy QDZ Double Easy. Another episode all about semis. How about you out there, drop?